All right, hello everybody. My name is Gable Pennyshot. This is Gable Supremacy number 3. Today we'll be talking about Prey, the new Predator film, released on Hulu today, or what was it? No, yesterday. When was it? 2 days ago?
Last week.
Last week. Man, we're really far
It was the
behind.
5th.
We got to get better on reviewing these things more quickly, guys.
Yucky's always sick, so we can never do it.
Yeah, stop.
I love the Rona.
I love it.
No, don't do that.
I love
Don't
it.
do that at all.
I keep getting
Let
it.
them like it.
Before we get started, though, we had a death in the I guess the great pantheon of horror film classics. Gulager. I knew him as Bert from Return of the Living Dead, one of my favorite films. Sad to hear him pass, but I know his son John Gulager is a director. At least he won Project Greenlight a long time ago with Feast. I don't know if anybody remembers that movie.
He didn't do Feast, did he?
Yeah.
John Gulager.
That's why.
Yeah.
What?
That's why Clu Gulager was the bartender.
He just wrote it?
No,
I think he
Clue was
directed
I thought Marcus Dunstan directed it.
Did he? Did he write it? I don't know. I know he's responsible for it. Maybe it was the sequels.
Oh yeah,
I'll
it
have to
was.
double check this.
It was John Gould. I always thought it was Marcus Dunstan.
I know.
Oh, Marcus Dunstan wrote it with Patrick Melton, but
Oh,
John
there you
Gulager directed it.
So John, yeah. So I know he also would go on to do one of the Piranha movies too, right?
I don't know.
Crazy.
I don't know much about him at all.
But either way, Clue is dead, guys. He had a good career.
Yep.
Loved him as
Sucks.
Bert. So rest in peace, my
Yeah,
friend.
he was the best. One of the best horror characters ever.
All right, let's see. Our history with Predator films. Now, guys, are you guys Predator film fans? I should say. Just as a general, do you guys like the idea of these like alien? Like,
I'd like to say
hunters?
yes, but really only the first one to me is like great.
Well, the first one's a classic, though. Like, it's not
It's a
even fair
classic.
to set all the other ones with it.
Yeah.
You can't meet
But
that.
I don't know. The sequels are just kind of okay. They're just, I don't know if the Predator is a great idea to keep doing over and over again. It might have a little I don't know what you want to call it.
It's
I don't know,
a
it just doesn't
very
have enough.
simple idea that doesn't have a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of legs.
straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Well-
And they keep trying to do other stuff. They keep trying to make the characters surrounding the Predators interesting or something. And I don't know, it never works for me.
Yeah, I think Predator 1 and then to I think a lesser extent Predator 2 for me. Now I grew up with Predator, like it was always on TV. Like I don't know if it was TBS or TNT or whatever, but it was always on, like especially if they were doing like some sort of like Arnold marathon or whatever. So I grew up watching a lot of it. The second movie, I'm pretty sure we rented one time from the video store, and that's about it. So I would catch it on TV every so often, but I mean, I wouldn't say I'm in love with the Predator franchise, but I do appreciate, aliens coming to Earth and just wanting to kill things. I mean, I guess as a basic idea, I think it's pretty cool. But anything outside of the first film, I did watch Alien vs. Predator a few times, and still don't really understand it other than like underground ice temple or whatever it was. But
Because they were hunting on Earth thousands of years ago.
Yeah, and then you introduce like aliens or something to it, and it's just like, oh, they're born to kill each other or something like that. That's all I knew. That's all I really know about it.
Who knew there was an alien queen on Earth the whole time?
Oh shit! Yeah.
How did you
Wow.
first see Predator, Hot Talk?
I don't even know. Probably from my dad. I haven't seen it in a while, and I definitely remember seeing Predator 2 with him in the theater and being like, whoa, they said a swear word.
Oh, naughty words, right?
But there was kind of a long gap between that and what was even the third one? Predators? Was that the third?
AVP, right?
Yeah, it would be AVP. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah,
the order.
AVP is the third one. It's crazy.
That's weird.
Yeah, but that's just because the Dark Horse comics got relatively popular, right? Like there would be no AVP if it wasn't for the Dark Horse books.
I mean, probably
getting,
technically since they did the matchup, but you still didn't get it until 2004. Like, that's such a long time after part
'Cause
2.
that I want to say even the AVP comic book is like, I don't even know, 90. I'm gonna guess
They were doing them
96.
back around the time of the movies, just like they were doing Terminator comics and everything. Dark Horse was doing all that shit.
More
Yeah.
merchandise for the films,
Yeah.
spin-offs or
Oh.
whatever you want to call it. Well, our new
Dude,
film Prey released on Hulu, so I'm actually a little surprised by that. I'm like, why wouldn't this be in theater? I don't know if this was due to like all the issues with COVID or what, but it was released directly to Hulu.
I think the last one didn't do so hot, right? And then they're probably just cautious with this one.
Oh, that's a good idea. I don't know.
Well, yeah, those movies are all like critically panned. You know, they're all pretty bad.
Well, not even
movies.
just that. I mean, a lot of them didn't do so hot at the box office.
Yeah, they're not really big money makers, but I mean, they do
Yeah.
sort of. I mean, would you say the original Predator has like a cult following to it?
Yeah,
Like, I don't really
absolutely.
know. But only the first film to me. Well, maybe the second film too a little bit. But anything else? I don't think so.
Yeah.
The Prey was directed by Dan Trachtenberg. Now, I only know this guy because he directed 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is a movie that I actually really enjoyed, even though it was supposed to be a Cloverfield movie, and I think that's a giant failure of a franchise anyways. But I enjoyed it. The directing was great. Was surprised to see him attached to something like this, but I think maybe it was a good, smart move for him. But other than that, like, I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't really know much other than 10 Cloverfield Lane, but it was a winner to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
I, didn't
I
really
thought
care
the
for
end
that
was
one
bad.
either.
I liked it until the end.
I think the ending was shoehorned because it's a Cloverfield film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or they felt like the audience would be disappointed if there wasn't like an alien invasion or something. Like he couldn't just be a kook.
Yeah.
You know, like.
But
I don't
even
know.
like going back to what you said earlier about this going straight to streaming, now that people are kind of loving this, and they're like, oh, this should have went to theater. I don't believe anybody would have saw this in the theater. I just don't. Knowing what everyone knows about Predator prior, really the only reason so many people have seen this to be able to sing its praises is because of streaming.
Well, we saw it with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Released directly to Netflix.
Yeah, but that's like a whole other issue entirely, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, Halloween,
And,
the franchise Halloween still in theaters. So I just find it interesting what franchises are making it to theaters and which are going straight to
I think a
streaming.
lot of them will be straight to streaming. I think even the new Hellraiser is supposed to be straight to streaming.
Yeah, because these are all dead franchises. Like they're dead.
More or less.
Yeah.
Like,
And then not even attempting to rekindle it or respark it in any way, right?
How can you? If something doesn't catch on, it doesn't catch on, you know?
yeah, and maybe things being on streaming, maybe it gives people a little like not such high standards or something. Like I'm surprised people aren't like bashing the CG in Prey. Like there's some bad CG in this movie. That bear is horrible looking. Like just
So you know,
cheap.
it's in some scenes it looked fine, but in other scenes I'm going, okay, that really stands out.
yeah.
Like even like the translucent, I guess whatever effect that they use for the Predator, like
right.
in some scenes it works very well. In other scenes,
Yeah.
it stands out really badly. So
It
I
just
don't know,
made me miss the 90s when they would have done it all practically.
yeah,
Right.
just invisible
Well,
guy. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
supposedly there's 2 actual suits in this movie, and I guess you can actually see it sometimes when he's like, I don't know, just like, I don't know, grabbing someone by the neck and getting all close or whatever. But yeah, a lot of it just seems like CG.
Yeah. I did notice a little bit of a CG blood, and by a little bit I mean a lot of CG blood.
Always.
Yeah, which I mean I know from a production standpoint does make filming easier, but it just really stands out. I really wish that's something like horror, at least especially in horror, needs to stop. It just needs to stop in general. Like let's see some real stuff, and I know it makes it easy, it makes it more convenient, but man, it really shows in the final
Yeah,
product.
because what they're doing is if the freaking if the rating board says this is too gory, it's just a few clicks, and it's not as gory. You know, it's just such a
Just re-render it without it, guys. It's fine.
turn it blue.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. To me, like I said, like I think it's a budget thing. I don't know if it's a budget thing, but
That's what I'm trying to look up now is what the budget is of this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting
Right.
to
But
know
animals
about
are
that.
hard to work with anyways, right? I mean, it's probably not cheap. And then especially if you're going to do stuff with bears or choreograph stuff with snakes. I mean, it
Yeah,
kinda
there's
makes
a
sense to
bunch
go
of CG animals, right?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you guys actually think of the Predator?
The predator
Like the-
himself.
The design of
Yeah.
him,
The alien himself.
he's fine. Like I think he looks okay. My only issue is like he just it's that white helmet or whatever. He just looks like any other like bad guy that I've seen in like video
It's like a
games and
bone
stuff.
helmet or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of like
Yes.
that though.
That's okay.
Especially if they're running with the idea that like they are taking things from other races, both technologically and genetically, to improve themselves, then it's kind of cool. Because then I think I saw you make that point on Twitter that like part of the point of their race is to like evolve, and it shows how far they've come, and that's kind of neat. But I don't think there's a way to accurately push that idea. They kind of try to play with it in the last one, and it doesn't really come through, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know if that works though, because you're talking about a species that has space travel.
Yeah.
Like
It's
a
weird.
bone helmet and
Right.
like spikes and stuff like that. Like, I'm kind of questioning on the like just the technology level of
Yeah,
the predators.
I didn't understand why this predator had cloaking, the cloaking ability, but not a laser cannon.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people
It
were
was
talking
very
about.
confusing.
Yeah, and I know some people were talking about like is it because it is a prequel that this is like further in the past that they don't have it, or does their tech sort of scale to whatever planet that they're going to?
Oh,
You know, what
I was
mean? Like,
curious about that too, because the predator like checks out the bows and arrows and stuff that they're using, and I'm like, is he deciding to use projectile arrows based off of the fact that the natives are only using primitive weapons? I still don't.
but we
think
never
it
even
I
see
guess
him
it
with
makes
that
sense.
cannon, with that plasma cannon, or
Right?
whatever it is.
Yeah,
So-
never.
But he does
Even
have
kind of-
shields. He has arrows, and when he gets shot by an arrow, he starts using arrows. They have a spear. He starts using whatever that one weapon was. I don't know. Like as he sees new technology, which is maybe like the little scanning radar that happens, or whatever that little little triangle thing he does. Maybe that's just like identify as a new weapon,
But,
which
like,
means he's allowed to upgrade.
If your theory is that, then that's still weird that like flying killer nets are okay, super spears, and like
being
auto smart
invisible.
tracking. Yeah, like that's where you lose me with that theory.
Yeah, being invisible is the most like. I mean, that's an advantage more than. I mean, what the hell? Nothing can turn invisible. Just being invisible. I kind of think the predators are crappy hunters now. I mean, I'm like, you're always just invisible to people. Bunch of pussies.
Well, the predator in this film, I mean, I don't even know if he's that good of a predator because after a while he kind of abandons this like whole stealth mode. He just sorts of like berserks and just goes straight after things. Gets hit a lot for what I would assume a predator should not get hit as much. Like almost
Well,
like
they're
he's
supposed to be
tanking
like
it.
adolescents, aren't they? I thought that was part of the lore of the trial. That all of this for predators is a trial to send them to a planet to hunt
trying
a
to
strong
get
being.
blooded or whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
and then they go back home either
Maybe.
successful or not. That's what I was in the
But-
impression of.
I don't know. Too
think
many
that's
people
canon.
add things because, like
Yeah.
in the original Predator, it's just like, oh, it's very hot this year. Like they just if it's hot somewhere, they go hunt where it's hot. It used to be all environment.
It just sucks because I don't think there's a proper way to expand the lore to give this whole franchise more depth, because it's always just
Right.
going to be this,
It's just hunting. It's just
Yeah.
constant hunting and stuff. One thing
I'm
that kind of
expecting-
bothered me about this Predator design, and this is kind of nitpicky, but it's one of those things where it's always made sense to me, and now they're getting rid of the things that make sense, is this Predator didn't have the like the fish netting, and the fish
Yeah.
netting was their cloaking device. It's like they're starting to forget about some of these I mean, all the movies are starting to kind of do away with. I think that's why when monster movies get further and further sequels, it's like people really start to forget, like, just the small details about these things. It's
my
nitpicky,
sketchbook,
but-
my sketchbook in chat says, "Why did this predator's cloak work in water and with liquid when the 1987 version cloak started to fail when it got wet?" I assume it got upgraded.
Exactly.
I assume it got
Exactly.
upgraded over the time, but I don't think
Yeah.
the tech makes sense in the Predator world. And they're like, "Oh, it's cool tech, so let's not worry about, let's not worry about any details like that. People will overlook it because it looks cool." You gotta follow your own established canon there. So I don't know.
Yeah. I also kind of wonder, like, I just watched The Predators, and I wondered, is this Predator supposed to be one of those brown Predators? Like, he has kind of the same...
Wait, what does that mean? Brown?
what does
Predator?
that mean?
You guys never in the
No, no,
Is he
Predators.
one of those brown
You
predators?
got the green
Brown
predators and the brown predators.
You know, green predators, they be hunting like this. Ooh,
I don't know why you guys turning it
brown
into a race
predators
thing.
be hunting like this.
You guys don't even watch the Predator movies. You don't even
Talking
know.
about
No,
green.
there-
What's a
I know-
green predator?
I know what
The
you're
goddamn brown
talking about
predator.
the two different clans of predators or
I
whatever.
Yeah,
thought there
there's
were
a brown
more
predator.
clans.
But again, that's like comic book lore. That's not. I don't think that's
Most of
established
But they
Lord,
as
put it in
comic.
Predators.
Did they? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember much about it. I kind of.
Was there a clan war?
Yeah, there's like a bigger Predator. God, did you guys even watch these fucking movies?
Yeah. Well, you just
I
watched
watched
them all
this
this
one,
weekend.
the one we're reviewing.
Anyway, yeah, I was just wondering because the brown predators have that bigger lower mandible that this one kind of had,
Yeah.
and his skin did look kind of like just the brown, not the green with the yellow like palms and stuff like that. I'm just
Well, I
wondering
mean-
if they're trying to tie it into the other ones.
Yucky, you mentioned to me about every movie, the predator mandibles always, they never can get it quite right. Can you like expand on that a
Yeah,
little
well,
bit? What are you
Predator 1
talking
and
about?
2, Stan Winston did the original design, right? And the mandibles fold over the mouth. But after Predator 2, they quit folding over the mouth. The mandibles they fold besides the mouth. And people have said, well, they're trying to give the predators like individual faces. It's like, but then why are every single predator have mandibles that fold besides the mouth then? It doesn't jazz. And Predator 2 has multiple predators in the end, and they all have the same mandible that folds over the mouth. So yeah, I don't think any predator has really looked like the Predator since Predator 2. Like, they kind of look like the Predator. They have similar features, but there's always something really weird and off about them.
I always go.
And I don't know if
it
that
looks-
has... I'm sorry?
Yeah. No, I would say I kind of go, if it still looks badass, I'm still down, even though if some of the details aren't the right. Maybe to me, it's like maybe that's just their distinct visual faces or whatever. That's how I put it in my.
But
head.
why are they all like that now? That's why I don't buy that argument, because now they're all like that. There's no face that looks like the original Predator anymore.
I feel like
You know what
if
I
that
mean?
was the case, that would have come up in several places, right? Like, wouldn't
I
people be
almost
like,
think-
oh yeah, you don't see the original design because Stan Winston owns the rights? Which
Yeah,
I don't even think
I
it works that way. I wouldn't think.
can.
I don't know.
Yeah, it can. Unless these guys are just like I also have a theory that maybe these guys are only looking at the comic books for doing their Predator design, and it's always these open mandibles, right? Everyone draws Predator with these open mandibles. No one ever draws the closed mandibles. So maybe people just don't freaking know. I don't know. It's always driven me crazy, though. I think the original Predator design to me is like perfect. It was so cool when the original Predator had his closed mouth, and then when he opens it, and that's awesome. Now it's just kind of like, Especially this one. This one's just always yellow. Like, I don't get why this Predator, like, Predators don't necessarily need oxygen, but it's clear that their mask gives them some sort of oxygen, right? But this one has his mouth hanging out of the mask. It makes no sense to me.
I assume maybe they're all different races or whatever. Maybe there's some sort of in movie universe reason why these things are so different. I mean, I wish it wouldn't be like Stan Winston owns the rights to it. Like, do we know if Geiger owns the rights to the alien look?
I wouldn't think so.
They did change there actually is a change in the design from the first Alien to the second Alien. In the first Alien, you can almost, the top of his head is almost translucent, and you can see a skull. So they did change that. I'm not saying like why they necessarily changed it, but it's not very odd. I remember George Lucas tried suing the guy who came up with the original Stormtrooper concept design because he used it in an independent movie, and he won the court case because it's like, hey, whether Lucas hired him or not, it's his design. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he still owns his own design, even though Lucas.
Yeah, but I
hired
feel
him.
like it would be in contracts at some point that like you're paying them to design it for you, right?
Yeah, but they're not going to, producers of movies are not going to tell us the dirt behind their bullshit. They're just going to say, like, predators have individual faces. They're not going to tell us, well, we can't use this for for legal reasons or blah blah. Unless, like I said, unless these guys just kind of don't know what the predator looks like, or they're not smart enough to get the mandible folds in right or something.
Sketchbook has a good comment here. It says, is because Disney and Fox are in litigation with the IP owners of the Predator IP, and that's why this one is called Prey.
Could be.
Could be.
I did hear those guys are suing for the rights back.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of the fact that it's called Prey, I mean, obviously, the inverse of Predator. I mean, does Prey still work? I mean, it was still marketed as a Predator film, so maybe having the name Prey doesn't really hurt it that much.
Maybe that's why the design is even further far removed.
Yeah.
Could be, dude.
Yeah,
but that's also crazy for them to be like, yeah, we'll make a Predator movie anyway. This shit that doesn't really sell, and we'll do it anyway.
But this is like a Predator movie for like a whole new generation, right? So many people have never even seen Predator. This is their first Predator movie.
Yeah.
So like they don't really care.
Well, speaking of that, a lot of people have been saying that this is essentially, just a soft remake of the first film. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
At a basic level, I think it's true. You know,
I mean,
it's just a sequel. The whole sequel lends itself to like original stories, right? You just put this guy anywhere you want. You could fight fucking pilgrims. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but when you have like this movie specifically uses the whole like making your body cold, making booby traps of sticks and tree. There is a lot of stuff that's just similar to the first one. It's just kind of like, okay, we're just doing this idea again.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I think there's some saying in it, but I think a lot of it has to do with, I think it is a unique story. It is a, air quote prequel that does sort of tie into the other films at the very end. We'll talk about that later, but I at its core, yes, I think it is a remake, but I think it's a soft remake.
Yeah, so that's what we do nowadays. We don't necessarily make new stories. We just kind of like, we make new stories, but sprinkle in the old themes of all the other stuff.
I mean, at least it's not like, like the Ghostbusters remake, how, that was obviously like almost like a scene for scene remake, right? Just done way worse.
Yeah, because it's not like Predator 2 doesn't do the same thing, right? Like in Predator 2, they redo the scene where like, oh, the Predator has to like fix one of his wounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they repeat that scene in Predator 2 from Predator 1.
I mean, that's kind of what sequels do a lot, though. It's kind of why I have a hard time saying it's a reboot or a remake. Sequels tread the same ground that its prior films do all the time, and we don't call those remakes because they have similar parts.
Yeah,
it's just themes. They rhyme like poetry.
Oh God.
I mean, Nora, I kind of agree with you, but at the same time, when like if you just have another Death Star, like that's when I say, oh, this is just a reboot. We're just replacing characters.
Okay. Like if we're gonna go to that territory, like I think with Star Wars and I forget whatever the episode 7 is, those parallels are too great. I think there's too many beasts there to not consider it like a remake.
Yeah, and I know these guys are trying to do like homages by repeating lines like if it bleeds we can kill it and stuff like that, but like eventually you're kind of like, oh, we're just saying the same things, we're doing the same things, we're like, it's really almost like it's like nostalgia for us, and I guess a new movie for people that don't know anything, I suppose.
I mean, you got to do the fan service. I mean, you just have to. I think that's an unwritten rule. You have to have fan service.
I don't remember fan service being like, let's say the line that they say in the original.
Say the name of the movie. Do it.
That is totally fan service.
Yeah, it is. I would say it is.
When you bring those stupid quotes up, and everyone goes, oh, "They said that in the first one."
I guess I should have clarified. Yeah, there probably will be spoilers.
Oh yeah, there should be spoilers.
But you're not missing out either way. So.
Yeah, you know what happens. It's a Predator movie.
Yeah. Like newsflash, somebody will win. Can you guess who?
Anybody could have written this.
Which, like, somebody brought this up on Twitter, but they were like, if Predators keep losing on Earth, why do they keep sending them to Earth?
I mean, because they want the biggest challenge, right? So they go to a planet that they keep losing on. That's how that person gains their blood, or whatever the hell it's called. I could see that being a thing. Like, aha, I won when everybody else has failed. You know, I could see that as a whatever mark of honor or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and they just come here because I mean, what they come to Earth, they find, or at least this is what I imagine, right? You come to Earth, you find a bunch of people fighting, you choose the more aggressive, and then you take them out, right? That's why
Yeah.
in part two, it's the Voodoo Gang that Predator's after. In part one, it's Dukes, um,
Squad.
whatever team or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
No,
why
we.
this movie, I don't know if they like kind of put it out of order. Maybe the movie's a little out of order for the story, but I guess like this movie has like French fur trappers, and I'm like, were we supposed to see the fur trappers going after like bison and stuff, and then the predator is going to be like, oh, these guys are the predators of the natives and the bison and stuff like that. Because I gotta say, there was one thing I will give this movie. As much as, I mean, I can't say I didn't necessarily like this movie, but as much grief as I'll give it, the one thing I really did think was really cool was how this showed the predator, like really looking at like, okay, the snake eats the mouse, kill the snake. The wolf eats the rabbit, kill the wolf. Like I like how the predator was actually choosing to kill whatever the predator in the situation was. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah. I mean, he deemed whatever was the more honorable kill, right? That's the same reason why we saw when he didn't kill the girl when she was unarmed and getting attacked or whatever. You know, he didn't kill her, at least at that first go.
Yeah, like okay, the second time I was watching this movie, I was like, is the only reason this girl wins is because he doesn't see her as a threat? Like the predator is just doing what the fuck the predator does. He does not care about this girl. This girl is hunting him. And the predator just doesn't fuck with her because he's like, whatever, lady. You're not a
You
threat
just
to me.
nailed it, Yucky. That's why the movie is called Prey and not Predator.
But also, she didn't have any weapons and shit until kind of towards the end, so she was kind of a non-threat. Like when she's tied up with her homies, she's the one that's disarmed, you know.
Yeah, I mean, she
And
also
they're all trying to
found out-
fight it.
She also found out pretty early on when she takes that one little drug, it drops her body heat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty early in the movie as well. So
Yo.
speaking of, you mentioned the bear scene, the Predator versus bear scene. I actually thoroughly enjoyed. I actually liked it.
Oh, that
'Cause
was
the
cool.
Predator got fucked up a little bit there.
I guess that's actually from a comic.
Oh,
I
is
saw
it?
somebody.
Yeah,
I saw somebody
Predator
post the cover.
versus the bear.
Predator versus bear.
Yeah, it's a wild one. Not as long as you
Mark
think,
Wade.
though.
Let me see if I can find that.
I thoroughly enjoyed that scene because we have, you know, what you assume would be like, oh, the Predator is just going to fucking, you know, just shoot that thing and then it'll die. No, he actually goes in and like
He
uses
boxes
his
it,
own
dude.
claws.
He does some
versus
MMA up in that shit.
Yeah, he uses his own claws versus the bear's claws, which I'm like, oh hell yeah,
Dodge rolls.
yeah. And
The
then
name
the
of
bear
the-
was winning there for a little while.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, what is going
And
on?
I kind of thought the twist would be that the bear fucks him up, and then they find the body, and then they use his tech to like fight the French or something.
I guess the comic book was called Predator Primal. It's a
Oh.
2-issue miniseries.
I think that's kind of one of the strengths, though, is it's not set in an urban landscape, so you can kind of see how the predator will just be in a foreign area and just like scouting and shit, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did at least appreciate the kind of like the I don't know, I guess the setting. Yeah, I'm kind of sick of predators in urban environments, and
I was actually kind of surprised too that it took this long for it to go to a Native American area. Because I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that's kind of
it's-
something they
it's-
should have explored. To me, the whole thing is like, you know, he keeps coming to Earth. Why not explore different times? Because wasn't Predator 2 in like the near future, I think?
I don't know. I don't know if Predator 2 is supposed to be like the future. It's 1997, you know? Like it's one of those.
In the future of 1997.
Yeah, because I think that movie, was that movie 91, 92?
90.
Something.
Well, I think the film works on like the Native American aspect, just because I mean there's similar rituals for both the predator and the girl, right? They're going out hunting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Just
they're
that
both like
juxtaposition
warrior
makes sense.
tribes.
Also, it saves budget concerns, right? Because like, oh, it's easy just to film out, in the wilderness versus getting
Dude,
city permits and shit
loincloths.
like that. But there's definitely this film. It looks good. Don't get me wrong, but you can definitely tell it is budget oriented.
Yeah, it kind of. I don't actually think it like everybody is saying this movie looks good. I think this movie looks kind of muddy. Like I don't know if
Coloring wise,
well, I mean everything nowadays since everybody uses digital cameras, they over what's the word I'm looking for? They over
Saturate.
expose, and then they find the color and the editing and all that. They want to overexpose to get all the detail, right? Then they work it back from there. And this movie, like, I remember one scene where the sky looks sunny and blue and there's clouds everywhere, but everything looks muddy. And I'm like, so obviously the
Yeah.
sky isn't real. And this image we're seeing, this, like, weird muddy image, it just didn't match the sky.
Do you,
that's
do
a
you think they
problem
went
with a
to
lot of
Disney?
movies.
You think they went to Disney Studios where you just walk through the door and everything's green?
yeah.
Welcome to Disney Studios.
To Disney Studios. Yeah, I'd be interested. I should look up where they filmed this. I bet it's in Canada.
Probably Canada.
Yeah, that's right. Everything's in Canada. Fucking Canada. All right.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the
Calgary.
action scenes with like the Native Americans, the warriors? Good action scenes? Are they? I mean, were they mostly just used for cannon fodder, or did they? Were they able to do what they could do to a predator? Because it seemed like the girl's brother was going to win there for a while.
See, I don't know. Like, this is another thing I question. Like, are Predators really action movies? They're usually just suspense movie, or not suspense movies, but you know what I mean? Like, a Predator usually just, like, kind of shows up on a tree and shoots the hell out of somebody, right? They're never really action scenes. Maybe until the last, like, half an hour, right? When you got to
Right.
do they'll beat them up or whatever.
It's more of a slasher.
So seeing this, like, there's that one scene where when the Predator is taking out the French people, I'm like, this is like a Batman movie where the Predator's walking all cool through the forest and just like whipping his weapons over at everybody.
Well, that one scene I viewed as a comedy where they shot at him, and then all of a sudden, like he blocks it all, and then like they have to like quickly reload their weapon,
Yeah.
and then that's
was-
like it's that awkward moment and pause. I'm like, that's a comedy beat right there.
It was kind of funny. I wish they would have just left that, but they had to ruin it by having the guy like load the weapon, then shoot the helmet, and it hits him back in the head. I've seen that way too many times. Just the loading of the old weapons was funny enough.
Overdone, yeah. Just cut it there. It's all you need.
Yeah.
No, I was surprised by the action scenes a little bit because when I'm going, okay, Native Americans, they're badass. They're throwing tomahawks and all this kind of jazz. They're using their hunting skills to track this thing, and then we have this long like action scene with the girl where she's attacking the French people, and I think it's all done in one cut, and like it looks fine, but like I don't. There's something about it where I'm going. I don't know if that feels like a Predator film to me, like it should be in there like that. But
Yeah, like there's that scene where when she's going after the bear, she does that like parkour kick off the tree.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
very
sick.
like, what is going on here?
See, here's the thing though, like a character like the Predator lends itself to hand-to-hand combat. So I think it's not out of turn to have some cool fights in there. Like you said earlier with the bear was cool. I maybe not having an emphasis on it, but when it happens it should be cool. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no reason that a character like the Predator couldn't fight canonically or shouldn't be able to. They should
should be able to
absolutely
handle
be
fisticuffs.
adept fighters. Yeah, you would think their tribes would be fighting at least in some kind of local wrestling tourney,
yeah.
Well, in the first Predator, the Predator at the end chooses to fight Arnold like hand to hand. He takes off his cannon, takes off his helmet, and he's like, "Let's duke it out, dude." Like, I mean, I would say, I don't know, when it comes to the story of Prey, like I guess it started off pretty good with the Indians or natives, or whatever you want to call them. hunting some sort of a lion, like a mountain lion or something. Like that's a good setup for what they're doing.
Yeah. Let's see. Another thing I wanted to ask you guys, and you see this in the movies a lot, where they're looking for some sort of like a sympathy or a sympathetic character. They always introduce a dog.
Yeah.
You know, a dog that will, you know, obviously there'll be tension thrown to this dog, and you're like, please don't let it die. And definitely happens. But I think in this film, like the dog is a good dog. He's not like a dumb dog. He knows, like he actually helps lure the bear away. And then comes like hauling ass back when he's like, you know, you better run, bitch. You know, I thought that was kind of well done, but I did seem at points where the dog like sort of just comes out of nowhere, just to sort of like save the day for no reason.
Because I was surprised too. Like it really felt there were times when she's just on her own, and then suddenly there's the dog, and then she's alone again.
Yeah, it's like
well, where's this guy?
It's like we couldn't afford the animal trainer for that day. It's fine, whatever. But I'm glad like the dog, he was a good dog, right? Like
He was a good dog.
I mean, I don't know if they're playing against the trope that like dogs always die in horror films, which I don't know if is even true as much anymore as it used to be.
I don't even think it's that. That's just like sensitive.
No, because now it's considered edgy
fans.
to kill the dog when you do it in a film. You know, people get like upset.
Yeah. Free way, be like,
words.
let's get the crowd against us here.
Yeah, it's amazing. People going to watch horror movies and then being like, I saw something upsetting. It's like, okay, well, yeah.
Well, you see that when they kill children in horror films nowadays,
Oh, they don't care about
They're like, oh, it's
the
edgy
left is
they
like,
killed a kill.
whatever, just don't kill that dog.
I think dogs are. Yeah, I think dogs are the only thing off limits, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to get people. Oh, well, never mind. I'm not gonna bring that up.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, guys. I want to talk about the real enemy in this entire film. It wasn't the Predator. It wasn't the Native Americans. It was the French.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the French in this? Do you think, obviously, they're French fur, or they fur trappers, or whatever they used to be called?
They were really smelly, I thought.
Stinky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mean.
Yeah.
And very fucking French.
What the heck?
Incredibly.
I was surprised that, like, I was hoping that they would do some sort of common ground. You know how, like, they're like, oh, they're all enemies against each other, but there's a bigger, badder enemy that, maybe the French would help them. Native Americans would team up, or something like that. Some sort of different other than strong girl wins. But they didn't go that way at all. But, I mean, the French guy gave her a pistol, though.
I mean, I guess that was a problem I had with this movie. So much of this movie is the main character being, like, tied up to things by men, like...
Yeah.
It just, like, it stopped the progression of the story at least, like, twice, where it's just like, now these men have to come and tie her up, and we have to wait, like, 10 or 15 minutes for her to get out of it.
All men are bad. Yucky.
That is kind of... The brother was the only, like, good male character in this movie. It was just the brother.
Yeah, good character, but he was also such a dick to her at the very beginning, right? Even though he saved her life when she passed out or got knocked out or whatever from the mountain lion or whatever that thing was.
Yeah.
But every other guy in this film does tend to be very mean to the female character, and that kind of gets into our main topic here. Is prey woke? I know, especially on this panel, we have differing opinions about this. Let's start off easy. Is the character a Mary Sue?
I'm going to say no. I don't think so.
Yucky?
I'm going to say no. Oh. She's not a Mary Sue, but how she is treated by the other characters is what makes it woke. Like, it's a really good, like, walking back. Like, I think when they made this, they were, like, pretty aware of, like, all right, guys, she has to fail, like, she has to, but even though she fails a lot, everyone like, her mother compliments her, she's great at like, the mom's like, you're great at everything, why do you want to hunt?
I think that's what keeps her from being a Mary Sue also, is that she is fallible, She fucks up even though she's trying. I don't think it's woke for the reasons that you're stating. Because I think if it was any other character, it wouldn't be out of place.
Yeah.
I
will
think
say
it would.
And I also think I think it's important to define what wokeness is. Also, just because, like, to me, wokeness means like intentional, maybe like racial or gender based casting or whatever that's supposed to evoke a
Well, it
message.
is. This
It's kinda
whole thing was
shoehorned.
Comanche and dubbed in Comanche. I mean, come on.
It was
Like,
marketed
if you
marketed-
wanted to make, so if someone wants to make a movie about Comanches and have it dubbed in Comanche, they shouldn't, because that's woke.
But that was a selling point of the movie, am I right?
It was marketed as the first.
Like, I'm not
franchise
saying that
film.
things can't do things. It's how you do it. Like,
Can't
to
it
me,
be two things,
woke,
then?
but woke storytelling to me, like, let's look at people like Ripley and Lewis from RoboCop. These are strong female protagonists that are just strong. No one is saying, like, you're so great at everything, Ripley. Like, they're not complimenting them all the time. I make a big deal out of Prey. She fails at capturing the lion. And then when she's tied up with her brother, the brother says, "You think you failed, but it was your plan. You saw everything." He says, "You always see everything." She failed, and the brother is complimenting her about how great she is. Like, that's woke. That's Mary Sue.
These aren't things that I would think would be out of place on a different character. Like, if it was a different male character, I don't think I would still expect these type of lines. To me, they're just tropey. Maybe that's one of the faults of this film, is being tropey, but I don't think it's woke.
Well, I will definitely say it's woke, because the theme of this movie, the whole theme of this movie, is how women need to see other women in roles of leadership to achieve it. That's the whole point of the movie. At the beginning of the movie, the mother, like, they're talking about the orange flower that makes you cold or whatever, right? And the mother's like, "How did you know about this?" She's like, "From watching you. You know, I saw you do this, so I learned it." And then when she sees her brother getting praised for killing the lion, she's upset, because she's like, these people don't like warriors, and it's because they've only seen the man be celebrated. So then at the end, when she's celebrated for beating the predator, they just whip out a little girl to look at her being celebrated, because it's like, she's seen now. Now a little girl can see what she achieved and can achieve it too. Like, I'm not saying these make it bad characters. I'm saying it makes it bad writing.
But that also just, to me, is tropey. Like, if you have a lead feminine character, like, those to me are the beats that you'd go across. Maybe not, and again, not in a good way. That's why I'm using the phrase tropey. But I think those are pretty standard elements of a female-led story. Just nowadays. Again, I'm not saying it's good. I just think it's tropier than it is woke.
I mean, that's what I'm starting to think. And I'm starting to think woke is female stories. Maybe females like their characters to be constantly complimented. Maybe, I mean, I just have such a problem with when your Predator movie is about how women in leadership roles need to be seen. That's what I'm talking. It's like, you are doing two different things. You're making a political statement in my Predator movie, when I just want a fucking alien to, like, hunt dudes, and if it bleeds, we can kill it and all that jazz. And you're making it
like Vic.
Dudes.
Oh no.
So I guess that's my problem. My problem is when you start making this fun fantasy idea into just a political statement.
I can see that too.
I don't know.
But I think one of my issues too is, like, the word woke gets almost overused at this point, to where it's sort of taken away a lot of the meaning that it used to have, and I think people are too quick to jump the gun on using that word.
I mean, maybe, because I actually just watched Predators, and Predators reminded me of a Hollywood writing style that has been kind of dead for a while. And maybe woke storytelling is just kind of the way they're writing these scripts. You know, they think audiences are really dumb, so they don't.
Yeah, heavy-handed writing isn't a new thing, much to Hollywood's detriment. You know.
And that's kind of where I fall on this. We kind of touched it, where it's like whether or not this is woke or not. I think, if you're introducing the character is introduced as a Mary Sue, because they're when the what was it the mother who was asking her, why do you want to hunt? And she says, because you said I can't, or something like that, or maybe that was a brother. To me, that's a very good way to introduce a Mary Sue, but throughout the actions of the film, she stops becoming a Mary Sue. That's sort of like where I fall on that. Now, is the film woke? I don't know. I think the film treads that line where I think you could make the claim either way, and I think maybe that's the right way to do this, because you get your woke points, and you also get the people who are okay with kind of seeing this kind of film and not seeing it as woke. So I think it's probably the best of both worlds that people are having this conversation, whether or not it's woke or not.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, then I think it executed it properly. Not necessarily the Predator film that I will want to see.
Sure.
But it did it properly.
I mean,
hold on. Sketchbook says I'm fencing. I would say that I'm probably middle of the road, but I just don't buy into certain things being woke or not. I think if they wanted to tell, I feel like it's disingenuous to be like, if somebody wants to make a Predator movie that's Native American with a female lead, I think it's disingenuous to automatically write it off as woke.
But,
and it doesn't seem
that's
fair
not
to
what
creators.
we're doing, though. We're bringing up absolute points in the movie, though. Like, the movie is woke.
I'm saying in general, though, and I think that's how I'm applying the logic here. I feel like people wanted to make a Native American movie with a female lead, and it's a Predator movie. Thus, I don't think it's woke. I think if it was the other way around, or they wanted to do it for like nothing but points, I think it would be more obvious, and I also think it would result in a much worse film.
He might be talking about me, since I just sort of gave a non-answer there. I think the film leans woke there. How's that?
Oh, yeah. Sketchbook said it was Gable. That's fair. Gable, we've been told that we have similar voices, so.
That's true.
But I also get told that I have very, like, middle-of-the-road takes, but I think it's just because, like, I don't completely give a fuck. I just like...
That's why you were so defensive on it.
Because I've enjoyed female protagonists my whole life. And there was at a certain point, they have been written badly. So that's why I call it woke. Because, like, I mean, you watch any episode of, like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, she's not being complimented throughout the, like, every episode. I'm not saying there's not, like, you can still talk about misogyny because that's a female's point of view, right?
Yeah.
But to be woke, I feel the separation on how we used to handle it. Because, like, I don't know, any protagonist that's just awesome, they're freaking awesome. You know, you don't need to say anything. They don't get, if anything, people usually rag on them, right?
But
like John McClane, right? John McClane gets ragged on every Die Hard movie.
But
like, he doesn't.
You're also using these examples from older films, and you were just talking about the dumbing down of Hollywood writing. So, could it be that it's not necessarily woke, and it's just Hollywood and their standards of writing being so much lower?
It's bad
and being dumb. Yeah. Could that be?
I mean, I'm still gonna call it,
I mean?
if the purpose of your movie is to, like, I'm gonna make a Predator movie to inspire young girls to, like, get into STEM. Yeah, you're woke. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I want to see that Predator movie. By the way,
this was kind of it. I mean, excuse me. I will say that the whole girl being seen thing, that isn't just a problem with woke female storytelling, because I think a lot of Marvel movies do this too, where you have little kids wearing Spider-Man clothes and Iron Man clothes, because it's like the filmmakers, they don't know how to actually write an inspiring story, so let's just have a little kid be inspired by looking at the thing. You know what I mean?
Mark Millar had a great interview, what was it, like a week or so ago, and he was talking about, or someone asked him about wokeness in comics, and he basically said he doesn't believe it's woke or politics is the issue in comics. It's the fact that people are doing it, and who are doing it are bad writers. Yeah. So Hot Dog's take kind of jives with Mark Millar there.
I mean, that's just what I think. I mean, Yucky made that point earlier, and I can kind of see that. Now, that's not to say there aren't movies and shit that are woke, because those are definitely out there. We know about it. It's so much more blatantly obvious. But I think it's worrisome to think if someone just wants to make a movie about natives and have a female lead because they think that'd be a neat twist on it, that it's automatically going to get branded. And again, Yuck, I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I just mean seeing takes online in general that have that is a little little strange. And it's not even just this movie, but I've seen that kind of logic applied to several movies where there's like this type of person or this, oh, it must be woke. Well, you don't really know that because you haven't seen it yet, and you gotta at least give it a chance.
Right. But I've actually seen the opposite, where I forget who this was. I think you said you listened to a podcast by her, but some lady I seen tweeted out how like this was the only Predator movie she's ever seen, and she's not even going to go back and watch the other ones because none of them could ever achieve the same gravitas and the same blah blah blah. It's like that's when you know a lot of people do only care about the political messaging of this movie.
Yeah.
They're saying this is the end all. Why even go back to the original?
And that's a strange take too, right? Like, if I liked the newest entry in a series that I'm not familiar with, it makes me want to go watch everything else. Like, what have I been missing? You know,
right, yeah. Because as much as I complain about this movie, I'll still say it's the third best in the series. Like, it feels like a Predator movie. It doesn't. But the bars are also
super low across the franchise.
They're super low. So I just wanted. Today I watched Predators and AVP. Yeah, they're very low.
I'll probably be rewatching Predators and AVP 2. Will be on my list right now.
Predators was a tad more watch. Like, I saw it when it first came out in theaters, and this was only the second time I revisited it, and it was okay. It was more entertaining than originally. But,
I like the different Predators. All I want from a Predator movie is like different Predators and cool gadgets. Those are my things. Give me cool ways to shoot things at people to make them pop apart, you know.
You guys mentioned that you think Prey is a good direction for the Predator franchise to go, like in the future. Like these kind of self-contained stories are loosely linked together as long as the monsters look cool, the weapons are cool, kills are cool.
I mean, I think so, because a lot of the Predator movies after Predator 2 became like pretty high concept. You know, AVP is about like, the Predators came here thousands of years ago and built our society, and they have like a pyramid where they hunt the aliens. Predators was about taking people to their own personal hunting ground, and there's two different types of predators, and I can't even remember what The Predator was about. I can't even remember. I'd have to watch that one again.
Is that the
but this
other
was kind
one,
of back
the one
to
before
the
the
basics.
before this one?
Yeah.
Is that the
I can't remember what it was about.
No, that's the one with
what's her name?
Munn?
Olivia Munn and Thomas Jane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's the one Olivia Munn got fired, right?
Was that about like the government already having a predator in custody or something? I cannot recall.
Yeah, they like had one, but then there's also a
autism,
a giant one. Yeah, and autism's the only weapon to stop the predator.
That makes sense.
I guess. I mean, that should be the crux of every film, in my opinion, right?
As long as it's not internet,
but it's pure autism.
Yeah, as long as it's not autism, they never win.
Every stupid make-believe monster gets stopped by autism. That's kind of what happened in Dreamcatcher.
The one thing I've been surprised with, guys, is the fact that this has been getting a lot of positive coverage. From a lot of sides, whether or not you lean SJW or anti-SJW or whatever you want to call it. Lots of positive coverage. So I assume we're probably going to get more. I'm hoping it's not like a whole Predator
92% on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way, not to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. A lot of positive coverage. What about the users?
81. That's still high. It's not like the normal seesaw that you see with some of these.
Yeah,
which only tells me it's not as controversial. I think because we're on Twitter, we see it more. You know?
Yeah. Well, you have your usual actors.
They gave us like a crazy cliffhanger. It's not really like a cliffhanger, but it's an Easter egg cliffhanger. Like the girl gets the gun from the French trapper, and that's the gun that the Predator gives Danny Glover for killing a Predator in Predator 2. So we need to see how, I mean, maybe the Predators are like, this tribe of people was able to kill one of our people. Let's go mess them up. Like somehow the Predators have to get that gun again.
I kind of want to see a Predator fucking win sometime. Like, maybe so maybe it's not, especially now with all the fucking all the bullshit behind it. But it would be cool if she lost and they took her weapon, and then that's
subvert expectations, you might say.
Yeah,
Ooh,
you can start off with that and then go somewhere else.
That's one of those,
too
like, it's an
attached now?
interesting, like, concept, but I don't know. When you make a whole, I think that, didn't that kind of happen in AVP Requiem? Like, you're with, like, this boy and this girl this whole movie, and then the girlfriend gets, like, killed at, like, within, like 20 minutes before the end, and it's
I
like,
think so.
huh. That's kind of deflating when
Yeah.
when your character doesn't make it through the story. It's kind of like, you know what? Life is pointless. Let's just end it. Let's get in the pods. Like, you're never gonna make it out of this, guys. We none of us make it out of here alive, people.
To go back on the pistol thing. Now, the pistol was given a backstory in one of the Predator comics. I don't remember if it's like from a pirate or something. So that pistol originally had a lore behind it already. So they redid it for the movie.
You know they're not going to care about the comic.
I know, but we had
You know,
at least.
have they in the movies? Have they even said the Predator's race at all?
No.
That's still is that still just comic lore?
I guess so. Just because you got to
Isn't
write
that
something
weird?
down, right?
Yeah, but isn't that kind of crazy to have so much lore of these things because you can't figure out the way to express it in the movies?
One day
I
it's
mean,
just
I
gonna be
kind of
we're gonna
like
visit
that.
the
I mean, that's
Predator
what
planet.
was so great about the first Predator. Like, I love these things being kind of a mystery to us. Like, I don't want to know a lot about their society. I mean, that's kind of why I never even really read the comics. I like the mystery of it. Like, when I saw the first Predator, it actually worked out perfectly because I was just a kid and never seen any trailers, nothing. It was on HBO. I even missed the title, and I just saw Schwarzenegger going into a forest with a bunch of dudes, and then it became a monster movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like I mean, I like that angle of there's just like this invisible thing out there. Like, I don't want to know it's tribal.
I think
crap.
anytime you expand a franchise, you kind of have to start building on the lore. I don't think you can just
Right.
have, or else you're just going to have the same thing, and then your complaints are going to go like, "Well, it's the same movie as the first one," you know?
Right. Well, sometimes, because, like, remember how, I mean, even the concept of AVP wasn't brought up until, in Predator 2, there's that scene that it shows the Predator's trophy case, and
Yeah.
there's an alien head, right? Like, sometimes just little Easter eggs like that can be better than the actual, just imagining what it would be like.
Those
is
Easter
better than
eggs
the actual
lead to whole
product.
films, though, and whole comic lines and video game franchises and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, that's just classic. Like, I like when I watched AVP, I like in the first few minutes of the movie, some scientists are watching Frankenstein versus the Wolfman. It's just like a little nod to the movie monsters fighting.
There's also the end of the Prey movie. If you guys watch the first bit of credits, there's like a animatic that happens, and if you look at for like a split second, they show in the animatic they have where the ship comes down to the Native Americans there. So that's where we're assuming the pistol handoff thing might have happened. Again, we don't really know; it's not really said, but we can probably put two and two together there. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, and another thing I was a little disappointed in. I talked to Hot Dog and Gable about this, but I tried to watch I did watch the Comanche dub, and I don't know. I guess I thought that they actually performed it in Comanche, but it was just like a dub. So to me, it just came off as like a Godzilla movie. It just was, to me, it was odd. It didn't.
What do you mean,
off
like
good.
the lips were out of sync and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
they don't sync that good. Like, I've seen articles where the guy's like, "We did a great job at sync." It's like, like, it's okay. It's okay. It's still like, it still comes off as
Do you think they like showed it to like a Comanche Indian tribe, being like, "Here's the movie we made about your tribe"?
I wonder.
Back in the
Can you
day.
imagine how many people even
Here's the
speak
reason why I think
Comanche anymore?
Yeah, here's why. It's like what's his face did a film in Aramaic.
Several, right? I mean, I did think it was, even though I called that woke earlier, I would have thought it was a cool idea if it was filmed them speaking Comanche.
Yeah.
I was just let down that it was a dub.
I would assume they only didn't because of budget reasons.
Has
That's
to.
what I would
I'm
think.
sure, right? Well,
'Cause then you have to
plus,
do every
I mean,
scene twice, and nobody does that shit.
yeah, you wouldn't get the same film, right?
Yeah.
Like the performances would be completely different. It would be
Right.
weird. It would be interesting.
Kind of like, because there's that other cut of Dracula, right? The Spanish cut's
Yeah.
different from the.
That's a whole different
Oh,
actors, though.
way different.
Is it? It's not
Yeah.
different actors, is it?
Yeah,
I
it
thought
is.
it's still Lugosi.
No, it's Spanish. It's
Oh,
all Spanish cast. But there's like, I mean, there's nice there's nice
guess that
camera
makes sense.
zoom ins and like,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes
It's a better
the-
film, to be honest.
It is. It actually is. The Dracula looks so goofy though. That guy,
True. Yeah, they should have kept Bella, dubbed him or something.
Bela. But yeah.
All right, so we kind of mentioned it a little bit, where Predator can go. Yucky, if you were in charge of Prey number 2, because it might happen, what would you do with it?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I guess I want to see the predators like attack this tribe. I was even thinking like what I would have done for a post-credit scene for this movie is had like it'd be a nighttime scene where the whole tribe is under attack and everything's on fire and you see these 4 or 5 invisible things in the grass approaching the tribes or something. Like I want the predators to come get their revenge for her killing one of their dudes, right?
I don't know if they would do that, because that doesn't seem very honorable.
I mean, but they know it's a whole group of people, though. You know what I mean? Like this is what predators do. They attack soldiers and groups of people, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, because I mean, you remember? I mean, she wasn't even the focus of this, right? But now I'm sure the natives have the predators' attention. They're like, oh, okay. Like these things kind of stepped up, right? Now it's going. I think that's even at the end when she says, "There's danger. We need to get to higher land." Because it's like, yeah, dude, they're like, it's gonna be coming back.
Hot dog, what would you do?
I don't know. Would I have to continue the Prey story?
No, do whatever the fuck you want, man.
I mean, if that's the case, like K3S is over here is saying I wanted a Ghost in the Darkness meets Predator type movie. That'd be cool to just see a predator in the wilderness. It may not be the most compelling film,
like
but it would be pretty
DiCaprio
cool.
fighting bears and shit.
It would be awesome, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I would sling probably in World War II to kill some Nazis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We love.
It's not woke.
That's
love
what I
Nazi
would do.
killing.
I hate those guys. I'm not like everybody else. I actually hate Nazis.
I go even further back. I do samurais. Like I want to see like a predator don like a samurai, like the little cone hat, triangle hat or something.
Kind of like they like mess with that a little bit in Predators, right? Because that one guy had a samurai. That shit was tight.
I want to see him like
Predator.
fighting like a rice patty and shit.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Or in Vietnam.
Yeah. Something cool like that.
Or at a
have that
furry
cool-
anthro convention.
I'm just saying,
In,
go balls deep. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
In Predators, you get that scene where the Yakuza guy and the Predator kind of do one of those like in a field running and slashing at each other.
That was rad.
Yeah. Like a Kira Kurosawa film, but with Predator.
I mean, yeah, you could really. I mean, yeah, you could do a lot. I think I'd be much more impressed with this if this was the pilot of a TV show.
Oh,
You know, if this was like Predator
you know what?
episode 1.
And that's kind of one thing I've been thinking a lot about these like franchises that are mid now. Like Predator, I would even say Jurassic World. I don't know what it's making. I don't care. I know not as many people give a shit as they should, but they should all just become either limited or series or something, you know?
Well, Chucky became a TV series, right?
Yeah.
So,
But that still could have
Yes, it
survived,
did.
I think, in movies. I don't know. But I think
Yeah,
Predator
Aubrey.
lends itself well to a series. I think Jurassic World lends itself to a series. Aliens probably be a better series. You do whatever the hell you want. Ghostbusters would have probably been a better TV series.
long form storytelling is basically what.
Not
you're
even
saying.
necessarily because you can do anthology type shit. You can
Sure.
tell a different story every episode. It doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't have to be bound to a certain anything. And I think with all of those are franchises that have such a big enough universe or a big enough idea that you can do that with. Because it's not about the characters necessarily. It's about these things.
I'm always down for it. Always down for it. Yucky, do you recommend Prey? Average movie. I guess maybe we should preface this by saying average person. Would you
Oh
recommend
my
it?
gosh, I Oh man, I guess.
Okay.
I guess.
That's not
Like-
not a very positive one, but we'll go with it. Hot dog, what do you recommend it?
Yeah, if you've got fucking Hulu, you're probably not watching much else on it. Why not?
Fuck
It's a
yeah.
new movie. I think the last 20, 30 when all the fights happened is really fun. That was my favorite part.
Yeah, I concur with all of that. I think it's a good watch. I think if you're going in looking for a politics kind of movie, I mean, you're going to see whatever side you want to see in it, which is typical. But I think overall the film's pretty enjoyable. I think it's a step in the right direction for Predator.
Yeah.
Hope to see more. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right, gentlemen, it's been fun. I appreciate it. Yucky, where can they find you if they want to yell at you about wokeness? Can they find you on
Nowhere.
Twitter?
I'm sure you're on Twitter.
He's on Twitter at Yucky Gum Comics.
Well, you gotta
Hot dog.
find me. I ain't gonna tell you.
Well, we just told them.
Hot dog, where can they find you?
I'm also on Twitter. It's Full Custom Hot Dog without the last O because it's too long for Twitter.
Oh, too long. You have that issue a lot, I bet. Too long.
Yeah.
It happens. All right, you can find me on Twitter as well, G Penny Shot. Gentlemen, thank you. Chat, thank you for showing up. Appreciate you guys being here. And yeah, maybe we'll do the next Gable Supremacy in 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.